Hello traders. So TPO charts, what exactly are they and how can you use them in your day-to-day trading? That is what I am going to be going over in this video. So many of you may be familiar with TPO charts already and you may use them every day with your trading. But there are others who are watching this who may never have seen a chart that looks like this before in their lives. And even if you have, you might have absolutely no idea how you would go about using this information to trade from. So yeah, this video is for you. Now, what are we looking at here? So this is a Bitcoin chart from the 26th of April, 2021. Now, anyone who has traded Bitcoin before, you may be more used to seeing a chart that looks like this. Okay, so here, I'm sure you're familiar, you have your standard candlestick chart. So within this, you have your open, your close, your highs, your lows, each candlestick representing a period of time and the price that was traded within that candle. So you can see we have our lows, we have our highs, and on this chart, we have our lows, we have our highs. It is the same chart, the same information, just shown in a different way. Okay, so TPO, it stands for time, price, opportunity. It can also be called market profile. So those two terms are interchangeable. You can call this a TPO chart or you can call it a market profile chart. And the history behind it is basically within legacy markets, so let's say the New York Stock Exchange, traders who are on the floor would each be given a card. And every time they would take a trade, they would mark that card with the price that they traded it at and the time that that trade was taken. Now, every time frame was given a letter. So if you took a trade within the first 30 minutes of that session, it would be given an A. If you took it within the second 30 minutes, it would be given a B. And if I zoom in here, you can start to see these letters that are corresponding on this chart. Okay? And what this would do within traditional markets is it would start to build up a profile of where price was at any given moment in that day. And you'd get a chart that looked a little something like this. So this kind of looks a bit like our candlestick chart, but instead of the candles, you have these letters. So any price that was transacted within the first 30 minutes of this session was given an A. Any price in the second 30 minutes is given a B. Third 30 minutes, given a C, and so on and so forth. And in this instance, we go up to the letter N, and then we start again on a new session up to the letter M, and then we go on to the next session here, and we are currently in J. So you can see how that starts to develop a profile of where price was throughout the day. Now what TPO does, and the useful thing that you can then do, is you can collapse this down so you can see all of the information within one graph, within one single kind of piece of data that is here. So you can see our A's, our B's, our C's, all the way up to our L, K, N, and all of those letters. Okay, so this builds a profile here. Now, within this profile, we have certain different components. So I'm just going to go over those so that everyone will understand what they are. So first of all, starting from the left-hand side here, we have this blue line here. So this is our initial balance. Now, because this chart, again, if I zoom out, because these charts are just all grouped together, it's very difficult to know where price would start and finish without any additional indicators on this chart. So this shows us our initial balance. So again, I will expand this back out. You can see our first 30 minutes here is represented by this blue line. So that's our initial balance, right? Secondly, we have these green and blue markers that will be within every session. So we can go over to, say, this session here, and we can have a look. So the green is where price opened. So this was the price that was being transacted as this session opened. And over here on this M is where price was when the session closed. Okay, so once again, you can expand these out. And you can see price opening here and closing over here. Yep. We also can then start to build things that you may have heard before, which is our value area and our point of control. So within each session, we have our value area, and this is what is shaded in the lighter colors here and here. So this is a nice example where you can see our value area is within this 48,800 area down to our 47,500 area. Okay. And you also here have a point of control. So how you are looking at the chart at the moment is, actually, I need to change this. So how we are looking at the chart at the moment is that our point of control is calculated by the number of sessions that each price was traded at. So the more often a price went into, the more often the price was traded at a certain level throughout the day, the more letters that it was assigned, and the group that had the most letters was given the point of control. So that's a little different to how we sometimes see it on other charts, where you can see here that this point of control doesn't quite match up with volume. So on this right hand side here, you have the same kind of thing, but this is volume based, and this here is time based. But what you can then do is you can make your point of control based on volume. So use volume for value area point of control calculation. So this now starts to line up with our volume based profile that is on the right hand side of each chart here. Right, so I know it's maybe a little bit confusing and it's quite difficult to explain, but hopefully you get an idea now of how you can see your value areas and your points of control within each session. And also, just to go over this session, is that I have this on, just for ease today, 100 ticks. So each tick is a $0.5 range, so a 50-cent range. So if we're on 100 ticks, then each of these bars is $50. Okay, so you can see how on the right hand side, I'm going up by $50 each time here. Okay, so this gives us a point of control that is within a $50 area. So it's not exact, but you can then start to change tick size and things like that in order to get more accurate readings. Right. Okay, so once you understand your point of control and your value area, you can also see these single prints. So the single prints are defined by these areas that are highlighted that have SP written next to it. Okay, so you have one here, SP, none over here, and you have a big group of them over here. Now, the way I like to look at these is that single prints that are within value area, I place quite a lot of importance on. Anything without value, anything outside of value area, not quite so important. And the theory behind this is that if you are to create single prints, that means that price only moved through this area during one period of time throughout this session. So only in one moment or within one half an hour period of time did price move through this range. It never came back there again at any other point in time. right? So that's why everything here has only been assigned the D label because it was only, price was only moving through it during that period of time. Here you go. So you can see how price was here, moved all the way through, and never came back into this area during this session. Now this creates inefficiencies on the chart, and usually you would expect those inefficiencies to be filled, right? And again, I place more importance on these that are within a value area than outside a value area, although outside does still count. Okay, they are still single prints. So what you then have at the end here is you have your tails. So you have your buy and your sell tail. So much like a candlestick where you have the wick, you have that within the session as well. So this is basically the edge of the trading range within that session. These are not single prints. They are just areas outside of the main range where price may have just been moving through as it was going into a new session. So you can see here, although this has created a lot of area where there is only one print on the TPO, you can see that price has transacted here previously, and at the top here you can see that price then transacted within this area in the next session. So these are not single prints. And what I often do is I can remove these from the chart, but it's also quite nice to see. So you can remove these by clicking on these areas, right? And then you can just start to see where your actual single prints are. Okay. So that kind of covers all of the basic information within this chart. I hope it was clear. It's quite a difficult thing to explain this, and I will be doing more videos on it and be going into each element in more depth in the future. But yeah, that kind of covers everything that I really wanted to go over. Now, on this chart, you can see that I've got different sessions open here. I can briefly explain why that is. So this is our kind of traditional times, traditional trading times. So we have our London stock market opening at 8 a.m. We have our New York stock market opening at 2:30. And this corresponds with those. But what you can do as well is you can merge these back so you can see the whole day. So this here starts on our daily open. In this instance, this is 1 a.m. because we are in British summertime. And you can see all of the price within this day. So here we can go back into our settings. And at the moment, our point of control is based on volume. But you can change that to see which one has come through the most on time. And you can do things like you can change your tick size to say 20 ticks. You can also change your period of time. So 30-minute is the way that this is traditionally calculated, but you can do this on, say, a 15-minute chart. It's lost all my merging there, but you can do it on like a 15-minute chart. So I will quickly merge back here on a 15-minute chart, and you can see here, this is a 15-minute chart, and each row is $10 in this case because we are on 20 ticks. So you're going to have to zoom in really far to see the letters. Yep. And each column is 15 minutes. And you can see here is our time-based point of control. But you can see if we do look on our volume profile on the right-hand side, this doesn't quite line up with our volume-based. So if we were to click this, you will see how that moves. And now that is giving us the point of control that has had the most volume transacted on it. Now, this is where it all gets very confusing, so I'm not going to go over any more detail than this in this video. But yeah, let's put it back onto our 30 minutes Let's just merge this again. Let's go 30 minutes. Let's go 100 tick. And here is our range for the day. So you can see our point of control. You can see our value area, and you can see where price currently is. And what you can also do is if we bring up our marker settings, you can see how with our developing day, how price starts to correspond. Okay. So, yeah, I hope that clarifies some questions. I will be doing more videos on this in the future, going into everything in a lot more detail, going over how you can set this up yourself and how you can really use it for trading. So kind of the methods behind trading this. So what you're looking for with single prints, what you're looking for in value areas, and what you're looking for in point of controls. But in terms of the actual structure of the chart here, I think that kind of covers everything. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there. And again, if anyone has any questions about this, if you are already within our community, then please do feel free to ask any questions on this within the chat. But again, if you are not part of our Discord group, then we have a really nice Discord community over here. The link is in the description below. I will also add it to the comments. And you can see there's constant conversation here on Bitcoin and everything that's going on in the markets. We have charts that we get every day. So you can see that we have a number of charts that are based off this TPO style of charting here. So here's another one that's similar. And we have things that look like this, which is kind of like a merge of our TPO and our candlestick-based charts. So yeah, if you would like to learn any more about anything you have seen today, and if you would like to be alerted as to when I give you more information on these charts, then please do join our community. Please do subscribe to this channel, and please do give the video a like. It would mean a lot. And yes, hopefully I will see you again and explain this in a bit more detail soon. Great. Thank you and goodbye.